This is a 5th dynasty Egyptian limestone servant statue, and it dates to about 2400 BCE. It was once fully painted, and servant statues at this era were quite common. They would have been buried along with the deceased in their tomb or in a chamber near their tomb, and the deceased would have had several servant statues buried with them. And the point of these statues were not really to depict a specific individual. It was meant to just represent the task they're performing. So for instance, if they're making bread or if they're making beer, he would have had renderings of generic, nameless servant statues in the tomb with him so that in the afterlife he would have bread and beer. So the way these types of statues are typically interpreted is that they're just completely anonymous, which then brings us to the inscription, because every once in a while you'll have a servant statue that is inscribed, and they're quite rare. I'm aware of 4 small groups from the Old Kingdom which have inscribed servant statues. And when they are inscribed, they tend to give a title and a name, perhaps, to an actual individual who is part of the deceased's household. So perhaps a family member or a dependent of the deceased in some way, some type of personal relationship. So the fact that ours was inscribed told me that this likely also said something of that sort, so that this was not just a generic nameless servant statue, but an actual attribution to a specific individual that was living, that was connected to the tomb owner in a personal way. And it says Baker Nebis. So he was the baker of the deceased, whose tomb he resided in, and his name was Nebis. And research is ongoing to learn more about the name in particular, and also where he may originate from, but in our discussions we have narrowed down that he's likely from a tomb in Giza. Well, I never suspected I would be doing a treatment where I would learn so much about where I would discover so much new information about the context of a piece and how it can be interpreted. I never suspected that would happen. Because it's rare. It doesn't always happen. So it's given me a new appreciation for ancient Egyptian works.